I've known my whole life that someone is always watching. That wasn't something I figured out with age. It was taught to me, woven into how I was raised to carry myself, how I was expected to show up, what it meant to represent your family and your community. There were standards, and they weren't posted on a wall somewhere. They were lived out in front of me until I absorbed them. Now, did I always honor that? No. There were seasons where I set it down, walked away from it, acted like I hadn't been taught any better, but that teaching never left me. It was always there, waiting. And the older I get, the more I find myself returning to it, not discovering it for the first time, but coming back home. Growing up in Gullah Geechee communities, stories traveled differently. The elders told them, yes, but they also lived them in front of you. You watched how people handled grief, how they treated the neighbor who got on their nerves, how they kept going when life got hard. Character was caught before it was taught. I think about Miss Taylor. She lived on the corner of our street, yellow house, big oak tree out front, magnolias growing along the side that used to perfume the whole block in the summer. Nobody asked her to watch out for the neighborhood kids. She just did. You couldn't get away with anything because by the time you walked through your own front door, your granny already knew. Miss Taylor had called, or somebody told somebody who told somebody who told somebody. That's how it worked. But she just wasn't keeping watch. She was keeping faith with us. Freeze pops in the summer, hot chocolate in the winter. She'd ask us to pick up around her yard every now and again, not as punishment, as participation. She was teaching us that a neighborhood is something you tend, that community doesn't maintain itself. Nobody gave a lecture on any of that. We just learned it by being near her. And that makes the book of Joel feel surprisingly relevant right now. Tell your children of it. Not because every generation needs information, because every generation needs wisdom. There is a difference. Information tells us what happened. Wisdom teaches us how to live. Lately, I keep coming back to this question. What am I actually teaching just by the way I live? Not what I say I believe, what I show, because school is always in session, whether we called class or not. Children, friends, co-workers, the person standing behind you in line, they're all reading us, how we handle uncertainty, how we respond when we're disappointed. What do we do when no one's clapping? The world feels more reactive by the day. Everything wants an immediate response, an immediate take, an immediate certainty. But I wonder if one of the most powerful things we can model right now is just steadiness. This coming from a former perfectionist. I'm not talking about being perfect. Steadiness, staying strong, grounded when your circumstances aren't. Disagreeing without being cruel about it. Still caring even when cynicism would be so much easier. When I read a passage like this, I think about my kids, and I think about my great-grandmother Rebecca. A century separates their lives, but they're part of the same story. One generation placing something in the hands of the next, sometimes on purpose, sometimes just by living. Miss Taylor probably never thought of herself as a teacher, but I'm still learning from her. And that's both a comfort and a weight, because whether we know it or not, we are all in the process of becoming someone's ancestor. Joel tells the people, pass this on, tell your children, and let them tell theirs. Maybe the deeper question isn't just what we pass on, it's what story our lives are telling right now, before we ever say a word, because someone is learning from us. They always have been. The question is, what are they learning?